Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. No, I am not fasting. I'm just late. I apologize. I am not fasting. I am just running behind. I apologize. My son had track practice, and then I had to take him home to his mother's house. So I just got back. So I apologize. I am sorry for being late, but I'm always late. So, yeah. But hit the like button again. Please hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe as well. Again, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Before we get started, Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone. We are rolling to Sierra Leone. I'm hosting a group in April. In April, citizenship is back on. Again, citizenship is back on in Sierra Leone, y'all. Now they've changed the requirements, they tweaked the requirements a little bit, but it's back on. Please visit donfo.africa. Again, that's donfo.africa to learn more. We will love to host you. Then after Sierra Leone in April, we are headed to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival, y'all. For the Jazz Festival. And Senegal is home to the best food in the world. Again, it's home to the best food in the world. So after Sierra Leone, we're going to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. Visit Africa. Then we're headed to Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. Then from there, we are going to Zanzibar in September for Safari Blue. Then Namibia and South Africa in November. Then we're headed back to Sierra Leone in December. And the trip in November is a 2-for-1. We're going to go to 2 countries, you guys. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit donfo.africa. Let's jump into today's topic. Well, tonight's topic. Spring is here, y'all. Spring is here. The weather here in Atlanta, it's a little nippy in the mornings, but it's nice during the day. So spring is here. I am so happy that the weather has shifted because, we had some cold days. I cannot stand the cold weather. I am not a season guy. I'm not one of these guys that says, hey, we need 4 seasons. I need all the seasons. No, I just need summer and a dash of spring. Again, I just need summer and a dash of spring. That's it. That's all. I don't need all these seasons. But let's jump into tonight's topic. Where the slave ships at? That's the new argument. That's the new, when you add a feather to the Iron African hat, when you add a feather to the, what's the name of the hats the Indians wear with the feathers? What's the name of them, guys? Help me out here. Not a teepee, but what's it called? Is there a name for it? The hats that the Indians wear with the feathers. So to get your Iron African, I'm indigenous to America. You got to put the feather in your hat. Where the slave ships at? Where the slave ships at? The ships were repurposed. In fact, I'll give you an example. The Moorish church in help me out, is Freetown, Sierra Leone. The beams that are used in the church is from a reed headdress. The beams that were utilized in building the church came from a slave ship, came from wood from a slave ship. That's where it came from. It's well documented. But when you ask these questions, where the ship's at, and you say that and you use that as proof in quotation marks that this slave trade didn't happen. And shout out to Holipism. Because years ago when we were having this conversation, he himself brought up this point. How did white people get here? Where are the ships that brought white people? Yeah, foundational white Americans. Right. Where are the ships that brought white people? Where are they? So, with that being said, I guess white people are indigenous to America. With that being said, I guess white people are indigenous to America. And with that being said, since you pseudo Native Americans don't speak your native language, but you speak English, I guess white people were here before y'all. Yeah, white folks are indigenous to America. And English is the mother tongue. And since you so-called we ain't Africans, we indigenous, don't speak your indigenous tongue, and all of your customs are the same customs you got from white people, the white man was here before y'all. If we're going to use that same logic, yeah, white folks' bones, they bones are buried here. Their bones are buried here. Their bones are buried here in America. The white man is the original Cherokee. The white man is the original Olmec. The white man is the original Aztec. Because where are the boats at? Where are the ships at? How did the Spanish get to the Philippines? By a boat. The same way they got to everywhere else. By a boat. Lead. What, is there a conspiracy theory about how the Spanish got to the Philippines now? Let me hear it. Let me hear it. Let me hear it. Let me hear it, Lead. What's the conspiracy theory on how the Spanish arrived to the Philippines? What's the conspiracy theory? Yeah, indigenous African. That's the Clotilda in Mobile. Was it Mobile, Alabama? It was the last slave ship to come to America. When they came from Dahomey. The story of it's called the book is called Barracoon, and it's the story of Cujo Lewis, I believe his name was. Donis, how did the Dutch East India Company conduct commerce? So the Dutch East India Company, they were the first corporation, I believe, ever to be set up. And they could conducted commerce. They sailed around and traded goods. And they were involved in the slave trade as well. Correct. They were involved in a little bit of everything. But yeah, but the Dutch East India Company, I believe, was the first ever corporation. Okay, you're proving a point. Yeah. Okay. And the Dutch East India Company was founded because the at first, like, imperialism and colonialism, and the trade within that was handled by the state, and I think the state just wasn't doing a good job, or like private citizens or private companies wanted to get involved in, in imperialism and trade for the most part, and so the Dutch East India Company was founded or created for that. So yeah, but links in the chat room if you want to call in. If you disagree with me, on that there's no slave ships and we was already here, and um, you know, but if you say there's no slave ships, then you got to tell me where the ships are that brought white people. Where they at? Again, if you're saying there aren't any slave ships, you need to prove that there are white. You need to show me how did white people get here then? Because where they ships at? All right, go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, man. I seen that picture of Oswald Bates up there. I started cracking up. Let me tell you something. When that first aired, right? And you had Damon Wayans in the prison talking about you got to extrapolate the. Yo, Dinas, I was literally on the floor choking, laughing, and when that debuted, that was so poignant because when I was growing up in the 80s and 70s, there's always some of these highly intellectual Americans behind bars, giving like, I was like, man, bro, it's deep. But why is he behind bars and whatnot?
Right. Well, like I said, Colin, the conscious community, for the most part, the information came from the prison system.
It is the prison system. It is, yeah.
Yeah, it came from prison.
When you look at all these people, Sinetta, all these people, Polite, look, these, like I said, let me tell you something, Dan. It's a good topic, right? I think Al Sharpton did a thing the other day. He said, I ain't going to the White House. Look, Al Sharpton represents the ghetto black America. We got to part ways with these people. We were already here. So this is that part of Black America, right? Those of us who basically made it to the middle class or educated and everything like that, we tend to know who we are. We know we accept who we are. We know where we came from. We know our future. Then you got these ghetto black people who think that they can erase the history and think there's our whole life is some endless conundrum with white people. And we're like, hey, look, we're just going to do things ourselves. I was talking to a guy today, an African-American guy living in Liberia. He's head of the International Focus magazine. He said he lives in Liberia permanently. He said, yeah, man, he does trade missions. He said, I'll never come back to the United States. So I said, and this guy's educated. He's a husband of Cynthia Blanford. Remember Cynthia Nash?
Yeah, I know Cynthia. I know Cynthia.
I met both of them. I met both of them. And they live in Monrovia. I met both of them the other day,
Okay.
So anyway, basically, so you got people making moves, alternatives to what you claim is a problem with America. So therefore, if you don't know who you are, if you don't believe you're African, you're not part of Africa, you believe you're Native American, I would suggest anybody try to go to a reservation, get on a TP. And what is in a reservation anyway, Dinas? What is it in a reservation that black people want to be identified as? Reservations are poverty stricken. You ever seen these places?
It depends. Some of these tribes are rich because they have casinos. It just depends.
Yeah, that's it. But the bottom line,
I just know these Negroes who claim to be Indians, they ain't got no casinos.
Yeah, the black people, like I said, it's the same situation. Whether you call yourself a Moor, okay, you go to Morocco, the black Moor, white Moor is on top, the black Moors on the bottom. You go to the Vatican, you'll have black Catholic on the bottom, white Catholics on top. You go to France, you'll have the white Frenchmen on top, the black Frenchmen on the bottom. Same thing in the UK, same thing in America. So being a Native American or indigenous is going to be the same thing. The black indigenous is going to be on the bottom, and then red man or whoever like that is on top. But you get to be part of something. You're no different than the black American, I mean, you're supposed to another society. So that's what I wanted to say. I'll say some more. Oh no, you got this guy Free Game up here. Oh Lord, man.
Let me pass it to Johnny first. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was just going to agree with you. He might have something more interesting to add right now, to tell you the truth. But I got a lot of like facts and stuff I want to bring up about how they're basically wrong. You know.
Well, go ahead. We'll go ahead. And after you, I pass it to Free Game. Go ahead.
All right, cool. All right. So I mean, we have shipwrecks. There's archaeological evidence. Like you said, man, there's no evidence right now of what the Pilgrims came over on the voyage. There's
Mayflower.
There's no record of the Mayflower, you know, as far as pictures and stuff like that. Because ships, as we know, back then were commodities that got decommissioned, just like they do today, and just like why in 100 years there won't be no evidence or no ships of like ocean liners and stuff how we have them today. So, I mean, it's just a common sense kind of thing. But, I mean, we can look through history. We understand, like you said, the Clotilda is one. The Henrietta Marie, I know is another one. I think that down in I forgot the name of it. There was one in South America that sank while it was illegally trying to bring slaves into the Americas after slavery transportation of slaves was outlawed. And they were
go to Galveston, Texas. That was an illegal slave dumping port all the way up to the Civil War.
Right. So that's what I was going to bring up too. That not only do we have the ships evidence, archaeological evidence, we also have from the wrecks, because they were the ones that were still around were decommissioned or repurposed. We also have the ports. So we have ports specifically that will tell you, hey, this is where the slaves were loaded in Africa.
Right. Charleston was one of the receiving ports and Savannah.
Check this out. Dinus, also Portsmouth, Virginia, right? You know, so I'm going to tell you guys a story. I'm going to hog the mic. Let me tell you a story. Back in what year was this? 2003, I worked for the city of Portsmouth armed security, right? And I used to look at the maps of the city, the grid, because at the time they was building an amphitheater right there on the waterfront, right? And then one guy told me, he said, you know what that amphitheater, that right there, that port right there, he goes, that's where the slave ships used to dock, right? Then short up, I looked on the map, and this, you know, the poles, the beams that's in the ground, the poles, the piers, the thing that's in the ground, they're still there. They're loaded with it to get the slaves off the ship and walk them down the plank. That's still there.
Yeah,
that's still there.
Oh,
you know, I was like, I looked at that thing. I said, there was no. When I saw it on the map, right? I said, there's no. I knew exactly what I was looking at. It's like I knew exactly what I was looking at. I said, that's where the slave used to come off the ship and walk down the plank off the deck. You know, I said it's still there.
They have the ports in Charleston. They got them in New Orleans. I mean, you can find them all over. They have them in Rio, and then you got them in Africa too, like you were saying. They got them in Senegal. They got them in. I know there's two major ones that's out in Ghana. They got them in Benin. So basically, West Africa has a lot of slave ports, and so does the United States, and so does the rest of the Americas. So it's clearly some evidence that there was a slave trade that happened. So I'm just like, it's hard for me to just ignore that. But on top of that, do y'all remember a couple years ago when T.I. He was talking about trying to get, it was an early talk about reparations. He was trying to get this insurance company from England, I think, or somewhere in Europe to pay for hold them accountable for the slave trade, because that's how they first had made their money. Do y'all remember that?
Yeah, the insurance companies.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the company. I think it
was Perfect segue. Check this out. Just before coming in here.
As soon as I get to finish, if that's all right.
Oh, okay. I thought you had made your point.
No, I was asking so I can make sure.
Yeah, but Free Game is next. So
yeah, I think they were the Lords of London or something like that. It was a company though that he was like trying to get us to hold them accountable, like for the slave trade, because they literally were put in the service. That's how they kind of got started, and they were benefiting from that, and that's how they got started to this day. And there were
also companies like Aetna was one too.
Yeah, so there's companies like that kind of show that too. So I'm just kind of like, I mean, there's a lot of evidence that shows there was this transatlantic slave trade. And then obviously the main point that everybody kind of hits home to is like, well, I mean, if you don't believe that, then, I mean, you could always, take a DNA test. You could take AfricanAncestry.com or 23andMe or whatever and see what it shows you. But, yeah, I'll pass the mic on that.
All right, go ahead, free game.
Y'all come back on here today. Don't have no proof. Just on here talking about, oh, it's the pole is sticking out the
No,
ground.
no, no. Bro, I can prove anything I said, bro. I can send you any type of link to anything that I had to say personally, any part of it.
That's
So
the
if you call
slave
out something
ship pole.
if you
That's
call
what
out
they
something that I
talking
said,
about.
I'll send you the links. You tell me.
Man, we got over here, we got the food that's from America is in Africa. All of a sudden, some animals that was in Africa in America that's in Africa now. We got that. Y'all don't have no proof. Y'all can't trace back a language. We don't have no common language with Africa in America, even though there was several different languages at invasion. You got the French, you got the Dutch, you got the Spanish. We only have English, but it's no
Freaky, is
resemblance
your
of
indigenous
any
language
African
English?
languages. Huh?
Is your indigenous language English?
Yes,
Uh,
if that's the case, yes, yes,
where'd you
So
yes.
get
in other
that from?
words,
From England?
basically, English didn't come from England by the English people. You know, the Normans, the Latin language from the Roman Latin language, English, right? You
No,
would.
English did not come from. English did not come from actually, Africa. The English language, the alphabet comes from Africa.
Yeah, but that's
Uh,
way back in Greek times, Greek into Latin into, later down because the English don't have a script. So they got their script from Latin, Greek, and then the Greeks got it from Kemet. But anyway, let me just throw this in the bucket. There are records in Liverpool, Bristol, Amsterdam, Portugal, or Lisbon, where in Spain, and one of the cities in Spain where they actually made slave ships, fitted them out for specifically for porting Africans, and there are records of that. And I just googled that just before I got in there. They're between a certain time period. I can't remember the time period. I have to, try to open it. I don't want to lose my connection. There were like 6,000 in together. It was about almost 6,000 with Liverpool and Bristol between a certain time period, not even the full span of slavery time. And then Amsterdam had 6,000. And then when I googled Portugal, it didn't give a number of ships that they made during that time that were made for slave trade. They said 35,000 ships overall were used during the period of 1500 to the end of the slave period of when they were, became illegal. 35,000 ships. Now that's just throwing out a number. That's not substantiating actual records that they have. But if you go to their records, you will find that they kept records of the slave ships that were built during certain time periods. Boom.
So
And then as
so
far as
so
language goes, I met a woman in the park one day. I'm playing drums, teaching a drum class in my community I grew up in. And one of the kids' mothers that I knew, who was an older kid than me from the swimming pool, his mother came over and she's listening to I said, "Oh, how you doing, Miss Johnson?" She said, my mother," she said, "I'm from Louisiana." She says, "My grandmother spoke an African language." And I was like, "Are you serious?" She said, "Yeah, she spoke an African language." And then I've met people who's a friend that I met. His grandmother told him, he's from New Orleans. His grandmother told him, "Don't forget we come from the Congo." And then when your grandmother is born in 1917, a lot of you guys are young. You don't have as much of a connection, especially if your people are not from the South. You don't have that generational connection that connects you to people that were born in the late 1800s or even maybe even mid 1800s. You don't have that. So when you don't have that connection, then there's a certain amount that's lost, and then there are other things that have happened to us that breaks those generational information downloads. So I find that the young people don't really have as much of the retentions and behavior and other things that the old people used to do. Your shirt is on backwards. They say it's Buddha Baye. And where does that come from? I've been asking Haitians because my folks is from Louisiana. So sometimes those words are Haitian, Creole words or something, where you might Haiti people might know. Nobody really knows, but that's not an English word. That is clearly an African word. And as far as Native American, I don't think so.
Hey,
Man, look
sir.
here. Hold on, real quick. I'm
Excuse me.
30.
Well, I'm kind of new. I just want to ask him one real quick question because I just heard the gentleman say that he found that Spain and Portugal created slave ships, specialized ships called slave ships for transporting slaves.
Oh Lord.
But I find that curious because whenever I speak to others, Pan-Africans and others, they always say that there was no such specialized ships to transport slaves. They were just simply cargo ships. So can you
Okay,
explain
well,
this?
well, that's simple. The ships have to. They were basic ships that were made, but they fitted them for being able to transport large amounts of people. And those pictures that we see, those famous pictures that we always see, people are saying now that those didn't exist. People couldn't live in those little tight places. Well, even if that's not the case, certainly they're going to fit those boats for carrying people. It's not going to just be a regular cargo ship. So that's when I say slave ships, that's what I mean. It's
Okay,
fitted.
it's
Right.
specialized. So in that case, sir, where are the ships? Where is an example of these ships?
I just told
Bro,
you they
look up-
got records
look
of
No, no,
Bristol,
Henrietta-
sir,
look
sir,
up
Bristol,
Henrietta Marie.
England,
sir,
Liverpool,
sir,
England.
sir,
They were
sir.
shipbuilding ports where they made ships.
Sir. I didn't
Yes,
ask for.
yes,
I didn't
yes.
ask. I didn't ask for the titles. I asked for the ships themselves.
I gave you the name. You can look at the records as
No,
remains. Henrietta
no.
Marie.
Title. The
So
records.
okay,
the
here
Bro,
you go. Here's
bro,
your
go on
answer to
Google
that.
and-
Here's your answer
Sir,
to the
sir,
ships
I
themselves.
already said I don't want the title. I want
Here's
the
the
actual
answer
ship.
to the ships themselves. Where are any of those ships from that time period? Where are those ships from any of those ships from that time period?
that's
There
not-
aren't any because the ships were decommissioned. They were broken down. They were they used the. That's why you don't see
right?
That is
but a
false.
few ships from those time periods. There's only a few
But you
around.
see them though.
Shaw,
That's the
that is
question.
false.
Bro,
Are
you
you
can look it up
silly?
now.
Are you?
What you talking
I
about?
mean, come on.
If
Use
you
your
look
common
up what I
sense.
asked you,
Well,
look
hold
up
on.
in Google, you'll see it.
Hold on. Well, then, Alquan, where's the ships that brought white people over?
Now you
Where's the
see how
Mayflower?
it is when you ask just a simple question, people get upset.
No, yeah, but where's the
'cause
ships
it's
that
dumb,
brought
bro.
white people over?
They
There
had
are replicas of those
They
at
got
least.
they got records though.
they had
See, I don't care about records.
Apparently not.
It's like if you go to the DMV and they ask you, "Hey, man, let's bring your car in, inspect your car." Are you going to say, "I got records," or are you going to say,
Where are the
get my
Model
car.
T? Where are the Model Ts from the time when they was making Model Ts? Where are
still,
they all?
They still have examples of those around.
Examples. They have examples of those ships too around.
Where they at? That's all I'm asking.
Look
Yeah,
it up,
that's
bro.
not
I told you.
Virginia.
You
They
can
got
literally
Model
see the
T.
records of the ship.
Alquan, you can go to the African American Museum in DC. You can go. There's an African American museum
That's
in
all
Moulton, Alabama.
fictitious. That's fictitious.
So
No, he said examples. So I'm
No,
giving you
examples of real
Bro,
slave ships.
this dude's a troll. This is
That's
It's-
fine.
Man,
so you're
Hold
telling me
on. I wasn't finished.
Alcoon is the biggest troll.
No, it's just
I-
you can't challenge reality. That's what the problem
I want
is.
to ask Alcoon, get on record, ask Alcoon a question. Alcoon,
hey, look, Genesis,
do you believe in
we don't
reparations?
need to use pejoratives.
No, he knows. We go back a long ways. I always call him Alcoon.
He's
go back a
killing
long
you.
way. We
He's
go back
killing
years.
your pseudo history right now.
We go back 7 years.
Apologetic.
Oh, hold on. Let Free Game finish. I'm gonna pass it to Tyrone. Go ahead, Free Game. I'll pass it to Tyrone. Tyrone.
No, not
So he was saying that we not. I'm 31 years old. The other guy before the last guy. He was saying that we're not connected to the old generation. Look, I'm 31 years old. My grandmother was born in 1899. My grandma died in 1999. My grandma raised me until she died. Her and her sister.
Your grandmother was born in
Hold on.
1890 something. That's hard to believe.
1899. My
Your
grandma died.
grandmother.
She died in 1999.
That is possible.
Still hard to
My-
believe, but okay.
I can show you
But
pictures
it
of my
being your
grandma,
grandmother.
bro.
So when was your
My
mother
uncle-
born? When was your
My
mother born?
mom was born in 1974.
Your grandmother was born in 1890 something.
My great grandmother.
Right. Your grandma. Her mother was born in 1819.
No. My grandmother's grandmother. My mama.
So you mean your great grandmother?
Yes, my great
You didn't say your
grandma.
great grandmother.
Okay.
So you're caught in a lie. You in here lying.
No. I have
You
pictures
said
with my
your
grandmother.
grandmother. You said your grandmother.
Okay. Anyway, my grandmother come from Florida. Gullah Geechee. Come from Florida. My grandma never said anything about no Africa. My granddaddy never said anything about no Africa.
So what?
My grandma did. She barely spoke English. No, she spoke Gullah, but that didn't come from Africa.
Oh my God.
A free game. You just told on yourself.
No, my
Hold on.
grandma.
Well, Mike, free game. You just told on yourself. The Gullah is Sierra Leone Creole.
No, it isn't.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's closely related.
Because
Yes.
I'm also Gullah Geechee.
Yes,
and
Stein.
no, it's not African. It's not at all. It's a
Not at
broken English lingua franca. And
Lingua
black
franca
right.
with
people
what
weren't
countries?
Creole.
speaking-
It's
these
similar
people
to
were
What
Creole.
the fuck?
Johnny,
Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cuss.
Creole beyond the colonial period. They had
you're-
other dialects.
So you're changing history and revising it right now. If you're saying it's not connected to West African,
It's not.
Gullah, and
And
other
I showed
groups.
you.
It's
I
broken
showed y'all.
English.
I
It's
showed
broken
y'all my
English.
family.
It is broken English.
Hey, Tyrone, you should have been here yesterday. I
Oh
broke it with the Creole
my
stuff.
I
God.
showed y'all my family yesterday, and they clearly
Do
wasn't
you hear
African.
this, Dinus? You hear
Huh?
this?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
This is ridiculous.
Because I was supposed to have the mic. So again, a lot of people said a lot of false narratives here tonight. Because for one, they do have ships that's from the colonial period and antebellum period. They just don't have slave ships. And a lot of people are making up assumptions and don't really have any proof that they decommissioned these ships. A lot of people make up theories saying that they reuse the wood to make plantation houses.
They did.
That's what they did with all. That's what they did with
Some
all
people
old ships.
claim no, they didn't.
That's what
You
they
don't
did.
think they
in Sierra Leone.
decommissioned ships? They do that today.
There's no proof of that.
Actually, real
Because
quick,
that would've
just so
been damaged.
There is proof of that.
What do you
Okay,
mean
can
there's
you not speak over me? So there's no literal proof that they reused ship wood to build a house when it would have already been damaged by coral reefs, ship worms, all types of things that destroy ships on sea and water. And then on top of that, you got all these ship graveyards, yet none of these ship graveyards possess a slave ship. They got Blackbeard's Queen Anne's Revenge, which some people revise and claim that's a slave ship. They claim that Henrietta Marie was here, but all they have is sea trash, such as a bell. But another person said that their grandparent lived at the time of 1898 or something like that. That's possible because you had the last remaining Buffalo soldier that was born during that time. And,
Yeah, but his mother was born in the 70s, though, so that's a lie.
No,
He
that's
said
a
it's-
lie. How is he lying? It's possible.
Because if you're born in the 1890s, if you're born in the 1890s, you're not giving birth to anyone in 1970.
You blurt out over me. Yes,
Well, you're talking bullshit.
Dude, it's my great grandmother, dude. Great grandmother.
Oh, now
Not
it's his great grandmother.
Bro, no.
If the man's grandparent lived at the time of 1890, that's the beginning of the 20th century, right? That's possible that they lived up to there because you had people that were survivors of slavery. Slavery wasn't even.
But she would have given birth to a 1970 in 1970.
Bro, stop.
That's what he said.
His great grandparent.
No, he said his grandmother gave birth to his mother in 1970.
Sir, can you please let the brother drop his knowledge, please?
That's wrong. Because I've even done the genealogy
That
on
ain't no
myself.
knowledge, how cool.
How's he a coon? Kayla
He is
Genesis.
a coon.
I want
How
you
cool
to
knows who he is.
no.
How cool knows who he is.
You're not using pejoratives here. This is an intelligent
Well, let
conversation.
me
That's
hold, but let me
debatable.
ask.
This is not a clown show, Kayla Genesis.
Yo,
This is
Tyrone,
an intelligent
calm
conversation.
down.
Why are you
Let me
speaking
ask
over?
Alkun a question. Let me ask my good friend.
If you
Alkun.
wait-
Well,
Can
guys,
you
let me read these super chats. Willa Dixon, shout out Ms. Dixon. Baby Boomer here. What is the root cause?
I'm in Liberia.
Well, let me read the super chat. Willa Dixon here. Baby Boomer here. What's the root cause of this denial of our history? You want to answer that, Tyrone? Tyrone?
Shame.
So somebody asked, what's the root cause of a denial of history? For one, there is no such thing as a denial. A lot of the history that we know in public school is fake. And you have to also question this slavery narrative because it's only one-sided. It's not from
You deny the denial.
not from the indigenous African perspective, nor is it coming from the Black American.
Tyrone, I gotta stop you. Tyrone, I gotta stop you right there. I've been to just about every slave dungeon in West Africa. There is definitely an indigenous African perspective.
For one, that's not even a dungeon. You're talking about.
Bro, he's been there.
Are you?
He's been there.
Okay, I already know about that.
You haven't, bro. Unless you're there, you can't say what it is or it's not.
Are you gonna blurt out and not let me answer the question?
Yeah, let the
You didn't answer the question,
Are
bro.
you gonna
He's in the middle of
real?
talking, man. You interrupting,
But
brother.
he ain't saying
Because,
nothing.
hold on. Yes, I am. Because you got a lot of African historians debunking that dungeon theory.
Who?
And even
Mention
Philip Burton
one.
So again, you got
Who are
Goriot,
they? Who are they?
the
Who
famous
are they? Who are they?
Goriot,
Who are they, Tyrone? Who are they?
a guy named Kamara. He debunked
A guy named
named
Camera.
Camera.
A guy named. They're about a bazillion cameras.
Hold on, bro.
Everybody
Can
in this
you not?
movement, you know?
Can you
I
not?
never heard of
Please have some decorum.
Okay,
So
what's the
you
guy's
have-
name?
Will you land? Will you land?
That's the last name. But I can provide the source and the link if you allow me.
Hey, yo,
But-
and Tyrone, man, it looked like I saw you. I'm in Liberia right now, and I saw your twin the other day. You know, you look, you can fit
Okay.
right
No,
in over here.
he's not of African ancestry. Tyrone, are you of African
You
ancestry?
see his twin
Tyrone,
in Liberia. That's the difference.
Tyrone, are you of African ancestry?
No,
got his
I'm
twin over here.
American. And
Okay, so then you're not black. You're what's Choctaw? What are you?
what the fuck is
Pequot.
black? bro?
Right. No, you're
People in
Pequot.
Africa
Or
don't even call
what's your
themselves black?
right?
They
What's your
definitely
tribe?
do, but all right.
What's your tribe, Tyrone? What tribe are you from?
What tribe am I from? I'm
Yeah.
from the Muskogee.
Okay, so you're Muskogee. You're not. You have nothing to do with African Americans. You're Muskogee.
African Americans are American Indian.
No.
Why do you say
You're a
African
Muskogee. That's what you are.
Why do you
I'm
pay
not
often
American Indian.
dismiss
Everybody
this?
said it to me,
If
I'm
you pull
choking.
up your DNA and your genetics and your genealogy, it says that you're admixed.
Okay, hold
My-
on. I
My
want to jump
sister
in.
had
Guys,
1%.
guys, let me pass the mic. Let me read the super chats and I'll pass the mic to Ditso. Blackjack 38 999. Thank you for 999. Holla. Blacks in Cuba, Colombia, Brazil, Suriname speak Yoruba, Akon, Haitian Creole, Jamaican, Gola has traces of phone, tweed, Mende. Also, how you think African plants and animals got here if not by ships? John Noya, Tyron. Is it Tyrone or Tyron?
It's Tyron.
Tyron. Is that an indigenous Muskogee name?
Yes, Tyron.
Okay. What does it mean? What does it mean in Muskogee?
Just like Shah's African, right?
I mean, I'm just
means
asking.
the one
What
who
does it
chooses
mean?
that.
Short for Shadidi.
Let him
Just like
answer.
your name, Albert. Why did you change your name,
No, I'm just asking. What does it mean,
Mr.
in
Albert?
The
Why,
one who plays the banjo.
why did
Right. I'm just asking. What does
is
Tyrone mean in
Dinaz a West
Muskogee?
African name or is that a Muslim name?
I'm just asking. What does Tyrone mean in Muskogee?
What
I'm
does
just asking.
Dinaz mean in Bantu language?
I'm just.
Come on, we can't. What does Albert mean in Bantu language? Are there many Albert? in
I'm
West Africa?
just asking. What's Muskogee in what does Tyrone mean in Muskogee?
I don't know. What is your
Okay,
name?
you don't know. Okay, go ahead, Ditso. Let me read the super chat. Yeah, I already read that. Go ahead, Ditso.
Before Ditso goes, let me just say one thing I was trying to say.
I'm passing Disco. Go ahead, Ditso.
Because we were on the slave ship time.
Go ahead, Ditso.
I'm just gonna say as following. First, Dynasty, thank you for having me again. Second, I'm sorry if I started spamming on the private chat, but I was anticipating and posting all the sources I'm using. So I'm just gonna say this simple. Let's stop the cap. The lives of Anglo-speaking individuals of the Western Hemisphere clearly shows to us that their education system has failed them miserably. Their forefathers and foremothers have failed them miserably. To be honest, Alcon was asking, where are the ships? Where are the ships? Already provided enough evidence. Yesterday, I provided evidence of the origins of Creole and the
Actually, you
combination.
did not. That's an outright lie.
I did.
Could you
In
provide
that sense.
more theory?
Hold on. You asked not to be interrupted. I am asking the same thing. So, to land here the plane, any individual who calls themselves Indians right now in the Western Hemisphere, they're just pretendians, frauds, and liars. And there are people who are lost who have no identity. And I feel pity for them.
Aren't you Mexican?
All right, now that that's been said, let me just say this real
Again,
quick.
Hold on. You Mexican, right?
no. Again, I am from Costa Rica, a few countries south of Mexico.
Okay.
All right, let me just say this. There was talk about the slave ships and that they repurpose the ships when they take them apart. Well, you know what? It just so happens earlier this week, I was watching a video about how they dismantle modern ships in Pakistan. I've just posted the link in the private chat. And so, you know, that's dismantling cruise ships, but they don't just disappear.
What they break them down? They're not there anymore.
Yeah, but you can see what they were.
What are you talking about?
What are you
bro?
talking about?
These are wooden ships
You
that
talking
were
about
decommissioned
400
back then.
years later?
There's also the Australian prison.
You might not
ship.
even be able to compare that because
listen,
it's
listen,
400 years.
Sir, there's
Y'all
also
know-
there's also
Okay.
the Australian prison ships, which are specifically designed to house captives, and you have pictures of those.
Did that happen a lot later?
Do
No,
y'all know
no.
you can?
What
1800s.
about the records that the people wrote that exist today? And the records say that these ships were built for slaves. What about those records
Well,
that
what
exist
about-
in
what about the-
Liverpool,
what
Bristol,
about-
England,
I got you.
Amsterdam, Portugal, Lisbon?
You think
Right?
you-
What about those records?
Look, what about the other Pan-Africanists who said
No. You're asking me a question. I'm asking you
yeah.
about. Don't ask me a question.
Yeah.
Answer.
I
Answer the
answered
question.
I'm
Famous
about to. I answered it earlier that
You didn't answer it.
if you can be quiet, I can. All right, records can be forged. Who cares about records? I want the actual product.
You're full of shit.
Okay, hold on.
No,
First,
but
Alcon.
When I hear about the Roman Empire, I don't hear about. I don't see
Let me
records. I
ask
see
you,
I see the artifacts.
Tyrone, where are the ships that brought white people?
Where's the Mayflower?
They have Queen Anne's Revenge
Okay, well that's
in
one.
museums. They got a Revolutionary War style canoe that they found. Heck, they even got a 8,000.
Okay, that's two.
He's jumping
That's
through
three.
time. This is not the same time period. Bro.
They got
Don't let
long,
them try to play you.
long.
No.
ships.
We're talking.
They even
We're
got
talking.
Viking weapons over here in.
Okay, that's four.
So
Okay,
We're not
that's
talking
four
about
ships.
weapons. You give them
Okay,
too
that's
much
four
credit,
ships.
Donnie.
evidence that how Europeans got.
Okay, that's four ships. That's four ships. Okay.
That's not 4 ships, bro. He only named 3.
So
Then he
where
started talking
are-
about weapons,
Come on,
but they're
you
all
expect-
wrong.
you
We're
expect
talking about
a fleet of
1500s,
ships?
bro.
Come on.
ships at, though.
We're talking about the 15th century.
Right, we're not talking about 3,000 years ago, but they have ships from that time too.
Exactly.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
How come-
They
we can-
have
we
one
can-
ship,
Listen,
one or
come
two
on.
ships.
No, you're lying.
8,000-year-old Nigerian canoe.
No, I'm not
They got-
lying.
Polynesian canoe that got sailed all the way over there to California. They got all types of shit from the BCE, but not no slave ship.
Right.
You're
Just one.
talking about custom, like tribal type ships, not ships that traverse the entire.
Yeah,
sea.
who gives the?
Yeah,
what
who
you mean?
gives a
That's
crap?
the difference.
Tribal-
So let me
Polynesian
explain
ships,
what
it's not a difference.
Let me explain what I mean by that. So you
The
have
Polynesians
specific.
got all the way over here to the.
So Roman ships were designed to sail the Mediterranean, not the Atlantic, because they weren't all around the Atlantic.
Okay,
So-
hold on. I have
Yeah,
I have
okay,
I have a
okay,
counter for you right now on the second link.
Sir, you
Go ahead,
You
Dixon.
should- Okay, so on the second link I provided, the one that reads academia.edu, slave ships and maritime archaeology and an overview, anybody can open it. And on this particular overview, published about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, on page 2, and I quote, it tells us as following. 1, a vessel, I am quoting literally from this archaeological publication. A vessel engaged on a slave adventure was not for much of its voyage a slave ship at all. In illustrating this point, I will simplify matters by focusing on the British trade. By many of these points apply to the vessels of other European countries. On the outward journey to Africa, the hold of an intending slaver would be laden with the trade goods that would later be exchanged for African captives. At this stage, therefore, the vessel was not easily distinguishable from other categories of merchant ship carrying trade goods to Africa. But the intent upon the purchase of slaves, a few telltale signs such as opening gratings rather than the more usual closed hatches, and air holes at the point where slave decks would later be inserted, did distinguish some slavers. Ventilation holes of this type can be seen just above the waterline in William Jackson's painting, a Liverpool slave ship dating to ca. 1780. Quealy 2000, page 7992, tables 1994, page 141. These ships will also be carrying significant quantities of water casks, shackles, and handcuffs, along with lumber, whose eventual use is explained below. I jump a little forward of that paragraph, and it tells
who's that doing the speaking?
This is, like I said, second link, Slave Ships Anatomy, Archaeology and Overview, published by Jane Webster, published online 3rd January 08. Well over
2008.
Yeah, 08.
That's propaganda. That's propaganda, sir.
Yeah, y'all the
Prove
clowns,
it.
man.
How do you know it is? You ain't read it. You ain't seen it.
Because they're describing things, man. They're not showing.
Prove it.
Well, how do you know?
When we told you where to find it,
Because
without
I've done the
showing it, you
research.
didn't
That's
wanna look it
why.
up.
You have not done the research.
You just speculated that the slave ship records in these countries these cities in these countries could be forged. Oh, they could be. You're right, but you ain't seen none of them, and you talking about they could be.
But sir,
That's speculative.
Sir,
that is speculative.
Sir, without getting too excited, you know how you make sure that the documents are real? You show us.
All I'm saying is this: you're speculating that they could be forged. That somebody took the time to forge and make look old all of these ship records. These records of building ships.
I can speak for myself.
But you're
listen.
No, you were talking over me, sir.
No, you're talking over me. Listen, you can easily forge documents, but you can't forge a slave ship.
Okay, you cannot easily forge documents that are that old. You cannot. No, you can't.
There are tons of examples of people.
No, you can't. And why would you do that anyway? What's the purpose of doing that?
People sell documents.
No, sir.
Stop. You don't know what you're talking about.
Stop.
You're
speculating.
I'm not speculating.
You haven't done any research on that.
See, you're propaganda.
You haven't done any research on that.
Yes,
You're
I am.
speculating.
Hold on.
You sound stupid. You sound actually very stupid.
Alkin, stop being a propagandist. Stop selling lies, and let's get serious.
Okay. You know how you can tell people
Alkin, hold on. I got a question for you.
When people keep over talking people and they keep screaming and yelling, that's how you can tell when they're lying.
You don't sound intelligent, bro. You sound ignorant.
I can sound whatever I sound like as long as I'm telling the truth.
Alkin,
you're not telling the truth, bro. You're not looking up.
I'm going to treat you with
the truth is what can be proven.
Bro, you can look it up. There's remains of the ship. You can look up the Henrietta Marie. You can look up.
Man, come on, man. Those are
this dude's a clown, bro. I just gave you tangible proof, and you don't want to hear that.
That's not proof. You act like we don't know this stuff, man.
What,
Mike? So, Tyrone, do you believe in like were your Muskogee descendants enslaved, or what was their history?
May I make a response to the person that?
No. Just no. I asked you a question. Tyrone, I asked you a question.
What's the question?
Were your so-called Muskogee ancestors were they enslaved, or what were they?
Yes, indigenous Americans were enslaved. That's not fiction.
Got you an answer.
Let's get to what is shown on the screen where somebody tried to imply that they found a slave ship with a slave.
No, it's not implied. We found.
Hold on. Let's not be hasty, bro. Because I put a link in the chat that debunks your claim. Because with the whole article, such as Roots, Alex Haley, he made up some shit with the dunnage racks by selling on the Black Star Line cruise ship to Africa, back to the Americas, and he said that is physically impossible because he tested out the theory.
He said what's impossible?
He said that transversing a whole bunch of Africans in that manner is impossible medically. So it's in the link that I put in the back chat. He tested out laying down in the bottom of a hole of the Black Star Line cruise ship. And he said that people can't manage to survive this because he himself almost died from that experience.
When he sailed across the Atlantic in one of those 18 and 17 something ships, and he sailed across laying down like a enslaved African, right? Let me ask you, Mr. Muskogee, did your ancestors mix with the Africans? Did your ancestors, when they were enslaved, mix with the Africans?
Before you answer,
before
you get your question, may I respond, please? So again, when he made that article, when he was writing up research for the book Roots for his fictional ancestor Kunta Kinte, that he was sued for, mind you, he had experimented by stripping down butt naked to his underwear and laying down at the bottom of the Black Star Line cruise ship. And he almost died from that experience, trying to put himself into character of Kunta Kinte. Now this is fact.
Why would he die if he just stripped down and being naked and laying down on some wood?
You pull up my source.
Did he actually sail across the Atlantic naked? How did he almost die?
Now they want to deflect. They want to deflect.
Hold on.
No. Look, he want to deflect. They want to deflect from the facts. Man, almost
comparing us.
Hey, real quick, Tyron, do you have tribal rights?
Do you?
No, I don't. Do you have tribal rights? I don't know. Do you have tribal rights with your tribe?
Yes.
Who the fuck gave Foghorn Leghorn fucking tribal rights?
Hey, Dynass, I'm gonna ask you a real question. I want a real answer, okay? When you do those videos tasting the food, be real. Out of 10 tastings, how many of the food is really disgusting?
Hold on. First, Tyler.
What do you mean? Hold on, I'm asking me the question.
I wanna count.
So, when did you get your rights?
Where did we get our rice? We got all rice that grows in the Americas. And plus, the rice samples that they had alleged Africans pick were Asian samples. They ain't have
for crying out loud. Okay.
No, I'm asking, first, when did you get your tribal rights?
When did I get my tribal rights? That's none of your concern, bro. When did you get yours?
I don't have any in here in America.
No, I'm talking about in Africa.
Let's see here. So I became a citizen of Nigeria in 2019.
That's not a tribe. That's a nation. That's
okay.
Let them finish, bro.
You're right. So 2019, as far as Yoruba, Mende, that was officially 2019.
Okay, so you're honorary Mende, huh?
No, I'm a citizen and I'm Mende. I was able to use that.
Nigeria. That's
recognized.
Totally separate. You're not associated with what tribe whatsoever.
He just told you.
I said Yoruba. I said Yoruba. I said Yoruba.
No,
I said Yoruba.
Okay.
I said Yoruba.
He doesn't even know when you say it. He doesn't even know that you're saying a tribe.
No, the first thing you said out your mouth was Nigeria.
Then I said Yoruba.
You didn't say no tribe.
Yoruba.
He was talking about his nationality citizenship first, bro.
Yoruba.
He said it shortly after.
Yoruba.
No, he flipped.
After you said country, he said Yoruba a bunch of times, but you talking so much you didn't even hear him.
You ain't listening, bro.
That's what I first
you chewing
heard.
tobacco too loud, bro. He said that. He told you where he got his citizenship from, nationality, and then he told you a specific tribe.
No,
because no chief rewarded you this. All you just said was, I got a citizenship, and plus we also know that you got dual citizenship to multiple countries in Africa.
That's why he followed up by telling you what tribe, bro.
Don't even allow.
How do you know no chief?
I just told you. I know. That's not a secret.
Okay.
I know.
They don't allow Black Americans to get multiple citizenship.
Oh my Lord.
He has them. So what do you mean?
Okay, hold on.
Hold on. Tyron, can you show me that rule, please?
Okay. First off, Tyron, you lied about Alex, the source you gave. In fact, I already posted a video where we can hear when hold on, stop interrupting. You bitch about being interrupted. Stop acting like what you hate. Act like a man and have a little decorum. Wouldn't you?
You come with faulty sources though.
Exactly.
Hold on.
He always come with bad sources. He always
Well, if they're
come with
faulty,
bad
then you must know the actual source, the right source.
This is the
So
thing.
come with the
Stop-
right
You lied on
source.
Alex Haley, bro. Don't you ignore that.
Stop projecting yourself upon me. You have never brought a source. You lie and you manipulate.
Take the
Tyler, again, stop
I'm
interrupting.
not-
Have decorum. The last link is an interview to the man you're saying that he denied the Atlantic slave trade, and he said that was impossible, etc. The author of the book Roots, who created the fictional character Kunta Kinte.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, Kunta Kinte was inspired by the family oral tradition and the counts of Halley's ancestors in that sense.
Inspired.
No, it's not, bro. It was totally false.
I've read it. No, you're lying.
That is real,
Bro,
bro.
how
That's
where you
No,
get
it's,
it for real.
Kunta
inspired
Kinte.
means it's fake. That's what it means.
it's fake.
Kunta Kinte was based on family oral
This-
tradition.
Hold on, guys, one mic. I
Of one of
gotta
Haley's
play
ancestors.
this. Hold on, this is important. I'm sorry to cut you off. This is important. Let me play this for Tyron. And maybe you can help me out and explain this. Guys, please don't interrupt. Let this play. This is only roughly 2 minutes long. Tyron, are you familiar with this lawsuit?
To decide whether descendants of former slaves of the Muskogee Nation should be tribal members.
News on 6's Michaela Glenn is live at that trial with the latest for us. Michaela.
Craig and Lori, descendants of the Black Creek, say they just want to be recognized as citizens and receive the rights that should have never been taken away. The trial began with testimony from Carla Pratt, a law professor who was called as an expert witness. She says the Treaty of 1866, which addresses the status and rights of freed slaves and persons of African descent.
Okay, so are you familiar with this treaty that addresses the free slaves and those of African, keyword African descent? This is your tribe. This is your tribe. It was a law. This is your tribe.
Yes, and are you familiar with Africans kicking you out?
No, but I'm saying, but it says freedmen of African descent. So it's saying that that's part of the treaty. So
that's how they characterize
the
us.
Dancing Rabbit Treaty, it includes Black Americans in there.
Of African descent.
So regardless
of African descent.
You keep holding on this African descent word.
That's because you're trying to take it out of this, bro. You're
trying
to
Look at these people. What kind of descent
That's just a politically correct term of saying Negro, which Negro can mean anything and everything.
That's why he said African descent.
I can drop the source of Jack E. Ford saying that Negro.
But you're not anything.
Doing some good fucking.
You're Muskogee. So you have nothing to do with black or African or anything. You're just straight Muskogee. You're not black.
Negro was used to describe.
You're not. You were misclassified. You were misclassified.
Back then.
You were misclassified as Negro, but you know you're Muskogee. You are not misclassified anymore because you know you're Muskogee.
Hold on, let me drop the link in the back chat and let's read, shall we?
Well, let me run this back again. Let me just.
She says the Treaty of 1866, which addresses the status and rights of freed slaves and persons of African descent residing among the 5 tribes.
Pause right there. Pause right there. They said the status of free slaves and people of African descent.
Bro, shut up. Let it play. Let it play.
But the argument, but hold on. No, one mic. But Alquan, Tyron said that there's no such thing as African. We're all Muskogee.
But you know the white man calls us whatever the hell he wants to call us.
That's the argument. But there's a treaty.
They're using African
this is your tribe,
but that's not in the
but this is your tribe. This is your tribe.
Yeah.
So we're not going to attend
in Africa reject citizenship.
Okay, let me
keep deflecting, bro.
Let me
This is
a quick question to the whole panel. We're not going to address the lies of Tyron in regards to.
Did we not last year have
let me finish. Let me finish this, please.
Rhonda K. Grayson and Jeff Kennedy was also on the stand today, and both were questioned about their lineage and why they fight so hard to be recognized as citizens of the tribe. I spoke to Ron Graham, who says he was one of the original plaintiffs for this case and says both sides of his family were Creek freedmen.
My father is a original Oroli. I believe strongly that we will get our citizenship back simply because Article 2 states that.
I spoke to attorney Demario Solomon Simmons, who's representing the descendants, who says he feels they had a positive day in court.
Yeah, I'm
and are
here.
looking forward to tomorrow.
I'm here. I'm
Day
good.
2 of the trial will begin at 10 a.m. tomorrow, live in Okmulgee. Michaela Glenn, Oklahoma Zone, News on 6.
And notice notice how the other side looks quite white, to say the least.
So I just dropped a link in the back chat. You want to go over it?
What is?
Hello?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm right here.
That has nothing to do with the subject we're discussing. Yes, we can recognize that the categorization of Anglo-speaking United States is extremely backwards, that it has sufficient problems. Hold on, can you please not interrupt me? Now,
how come you don't talk about Spanish-speaking Latin America, though?
Prince, can I ask
Black American conversation
to at least have a minute to say something?
Go ahead.
This dishonesty of Alkin and all this tyrant came out. Oh, you do not talk over me. Let's have decorum. But look at the hypocrisy he's doing. He talks over people. So that's Alkin. It's pure hypocrisy. So fact, you tyrant lied about Alex Haley and about your source. In fact, I have the video right now on top of the comment of J1 that says everybody on the planet is African descent. On top of that, that video is a 4-minute interview with Alex Haley, the Roots author, where he explains what he did, and in no area does he, and we can play it right now. It's 4 minutes 25 seconds. So I have the author speaking on an interview, clearly showing that you lied about him. And second, the second source that you bring in, that's not the point of discussion. We can agree that the categorization of people, especially on European invasion, was horrible. And that gives even more tenet to the criticism I gave yesterday on this same panel, which I said there is no sustainable reason to categorize indigenous peoples that were here prior to the European arrival as blacks. You just agreed.
Mr. Ditso, when you saw that video that we just saw, and we saw I guess they were the opposition side, the whiter looking people.
Well, the Mongoloid.
Well, they look white to me. So
they were Mongoloid.
They look white to me.
They weren't Mongol, they were white.
So I'm saying, Ditso, would you agree that those were white people, largely white people?
No, they were Mongoloid.
Again, they are Asian descent, Diane. I am not gonna.
Asiatic people.
These are
I am not gonna entertain your dishonest, disingenuous approaches.
So pseudo, because we clearly have court cases.
Nah, show those faces.
These are Mongoloid. These are Mongoloid.
Those are Mongoloids to me, man. They look like whiteoids.
They ain't black. That's for sure.
So can I respond?
Again, I'm not gonna entertain your disingenuous, dishonest takes just because you want to sound intelligent, Harquin or whatever your name is, Harquin or.
You can't spell Caucasian without Asian.
So Alex Haley was sued in court for fabricating his own genealogy. What? Hold on.
So why do you bring him up as a source?
It's not the one who brought him up as a source. So what? I'll let you talk.
Showing that Roots is fake. That's why.
I'll let you talk.
Hold on, bro. You brought him as a source.
Bro. Stop crying, because I'm about to kill your argument. So again, this man was sued in court. They basically, the Buena Vista Corporation, that's Disney, they paid a village drunkard by the name of Kiba Kanga Bofana to give him what he wanted to hear, which is fake pseudo history. They also, Harold Corlander, the author of the novel African, and Margaret Wallace of Jubilee's novel, sued this motherfucker for lying about his genealogy, and his story was ripped word for word out these 2 books. And he also had a ghostwriter by the name of Murray Fisher of Playboy magazine write up his novel of Roots and Malcolm X autobiography. And Dick Gregory put this shit out.
You brought Alex Haley as a source. You used him as a source.
I brought him as a source to debunk your talking point about.
You cited him as a source, and now you're telling him about things that don't matter. What does his plagiarism have to do with anything?
You used him as a source. Now you're complaining about that source.
I used him
now
to
you're talking about he got he's unreliable. You basically talk about how he's unreliable now. You brought him up.
Point earlier.
You brought him up
on the screen. So
they like to babble, but they don't like listening.
Are you going to share my
QED?
Oh, that's y'all.
No.
QED, Tyron, that your take was dishonest. Now you brought up the source, and now you're complaining that source is not valid enough.
Right.
The man was sued.
But nobody was talking about Alex Haley until you brought him up, bro.
Ditso, man, you've been discredited all last night. You lied about the Creole languages.
You are discredited too.
You try to say
because you're a disingenuous. You are a disingenuous. You do not bring sources. You make claims.
What do you mean? He just dropped the link in the back chat.
Yeah.
Of what?
Of what? Where is Alkin's source in the back chat?
No links, bro. He literally
no links or whatsoever.
Oh, no,
so both of you.
Okay, guys. Let me.
Glory Island hoax.
Both of you, Tyron and Alkin, are charlatans right now. You are not taking this conversation seriously, and you are having problems.
Guys, let me read these super chats. Let's see here. Let me start off. Janoya Tyron Leong sounds like Kermit the Frog. Do these pretendians adhere to any scholastic data? Maximilian, oh my bad. Let me show him. Maximilian, a lack of formal education is a dangerous thing. Blackjack, at Tyron, those ships were replicas, not originals. Willa, this conversation makes me very sad. Are these guests college educated? No offense.
Yep.
Blackjack 38.
Johnson C. Smith.
Tyron, if you're indigenous, shouldn't you be on a reservation and turn to a sports mascot? Reparations only go to Afro descendants. You'd be disqualified. John Nolia, we African Americans have the highest prevalence of sickle cell and twin birth rates in America. These genetic factors correlates with our West African ancestry.
Pseudoscience.
That's not pseudo. Maximilian,
it's sickle cell too.
He's talking about percentages.
Lord, thank you for my JSU education. All right.
You can prove percentages.
Are Afro?
No, you can't.
On white
what the? I'm not gonna start with you.
Percentages are basically educated guesses.
Exactly.
From what?
If Tyron and Alkin are academically,
he doesn't believe in records.
But
statistics.
Hold on. But Tyron, how's the lawsuit going?
I don't know. You tell me. How's your African citizenship going?
It's going great.
That's all the way in Oklahoma. Down here in the southeast. So,
but no. But it represents the nation though, so that should transfer to everyone.
Because for one, there's a Cherokee that's an Eastern man. There's a Cherokee that's in Oklahoma.
Oh, you're Muskogee.
There's a Muskogee Creek that's in Oklahoma and a Muskogee Creek that's in the southeast. What are you talking about? You got the Yamasee. You got the Seminole. That's two different things, nigga.
Seminoles are not a specific tribe.
Seminoles
are a combination of imposed criteria. But Tyron and Alkin, hold on. I have a quick question. What are your academic credentials in this subject? What have you studied? How much time have you dedicated?
Did I not mention
I dedicated myself in the last almost 20 years of my life as an adult in archaeology and anthropology, focused on Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, from what I've seen of your evidence, it seems
again,
like you only
Alkin, what is your academic history?
Sorry, I heard the question. Now, it seems from what you have studied, you are one of those people who research to verify what you already thought that you knew. You don't research to verify the truth and the plain truth.
Do you research at all?
I'm not talking to you, buddy.
Do not project yourself upon me. I consider that
May I make
consider
a
that
point?
as a projection.
See, this is what this is
May
classic.
I interject a point?
Everybody
There's
wants
a
to be
book.
interrupted while somebody's trying to work on somebody.
I'll wait till you finish. Okay,
Okay.
so
That's a
the point that I want to make.
The man just said
Can
he'll
I
wait till you
interject?
finish. He'll wait till
Are
I'm
you
finished.
finished?
Wait,
Shy, he's not finished. Give him a moment.
I'll tell you when I'm finished.
Okay, please tell us your academic background.
I'm college educated, masters.
Well, we can't prove that because we don't know who you are.
Okay, well, but you could tell by the way I speak.
Well, no,
by,
we don't know.
by,
We don't
by
know
the way
who
I,
you are.
by the way that I have
What is your
patience.
What is your major?
Sociology.
Sociology.
Yeah.
And what university did you study?
I ain't telling all that.
Hmm?
I ain't telling all that.
Tell by the way you speak, you educate.
When did you study? What years did
You get too deep. You get too deep.
Okay, okay.
It's a
Hey,
lot, bro.
well, hold on. Let me play this. I don't. Tyron, did you have a seat at this table? No, this is in Alabama. Let me play this.
Banana
Hold on.
Susanna, and all those
Every time I'm trying to work on this dit, so people
Hold on.
interrupt.
Okay.
in West Tulsa to discuss a bitter battle between them and the porch band of Creek Indians in Alabama. New tonight, 2 News reporter Max Resnick attended the meeting where a fight to preserve their heritage is going on now. Max?
Marla, imagine that learning that your ancestors' graves were being dug up so that a multi-million-dollar casino could be put in its place. That's what members of our community in the Muskogee Creek Nation are facing tonight, and they're going to fight it. It is this land that is under a
Tyron, are you familiar with this land?
Yes.
So this is your land?
Are you familiar with those
according to
women
the
that were
Muskogee
murdered
Creek
in
Nation,
the Gambia?
sacred ceremonial piece of land known as Hickory Ground in Wetumpka, Alabama.
Even though we've been removed to a new place,
This your king, Tyron? This your king?
Now, Dynas.
I don't claim my equal as my king, bro.
Now, Dynas, is that not a white man? Is that not a white man?
But this is your tribe.
That's a white man.
But this is your tribe. But this is
I
your
don't
tribe.
know, bro.
That's
It's
your
the
tribe, Muskogee.
tribe, them people that murdered.
But Dynas, how could you accept these white-looking people as natives, but you don't accept us?
Hey, Tyron, hold on. Tyron, what song are they singing when they beat the drums? Can you sing along? What song are they singing?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, that's your culture.
But your culture is them people murdering them women in the Gambia.
Isn't that Lakota? Isn't that Lakota drumming? That's not Muskogee drumming. That's Lakota.
No, Dinez. Are
From the
you
Great Plains.
women that was murdered in Africa last year?
Here's your chief. Tyron. Here's your chief.
No, are you going to address your chief that had Pan-African land over there in the Gambia?
You don't look nothing like them, Tyron.
I mean, hold on. Let me get
They don't look nothing like nobody from America. They Asian. That's why. These people are Asian.
Asians, no.
Oh, those other people.
No, they're not. That's exactly the point.
these are my ancestors that are being disturbed.
In December, the Muskogee Creek Nation filed suit against the porch band, claiming they
Hey,
acquired.
Dynas, why don't you pull up the Mauritanian government next?
Exactly. And why are you pulling up my sources? Speaking of your talking.
I'm just saying, these are your people.
Hold on,
Right.
These are Muskogee.
That's in the back.
These are your people.
None that would satisfy.
But why aren't you pulling up my sources? That's in
These
the
are
back.
this is your
Are you
people.
afraid?
These your people.
No, we never said that was our
Those in the
people.
Gambia.
They're Muskogee. These your people. The
Ain't
Muskogee.
your uncle, Tyron?
The ancestors. I mean, our ancestors remain. There you go. Hold on. Let me pause it. Let me pause it.
Go when they look white, they don't want to pause.
Hey, Tyron, I don't see you nowhere at this table, man. What's going on?
Wow, they don't look like you, Tyron.
Hey, Tyron, I don't see you nowhere at this table, man.
You know what? That one in the red hat kind of look like you.
Look at that blonde girl up in the upper right.
I don't think Native Americans know what they are anymore. They don't know if they Mexican. They don't know if they Native American. They all Asian. I'm trying to tell you, these
But
people
they
are
speak
Asian.
the language, though. They speak the
What
language. They speak the traditional languages of the tribes. That's what they do.
What language?
They practice, and many of them still practice the religion, the spiritual system. Do you have bear medicine or deer shape shifting or anything?
Yeah. Bro, Black Americans have a deeper.
You're not Black American.
Have a deeper herbal.
You're not Black American. You're not going to
Black
take the word
Americans
black.
have
Black is
developed
synonymous
more
with African
herbal
people.
remedies than
You're not Black. You're
Asians have.
Muskogee. You're Muskogee. You're not
Black
black.
Americans have developed more medicines, more herbal remedies. We have better
But you're not
herbalists
black. You're
we have better
Muskogee.
herbalists. We
You're
have better
Muskogee.
herbalists.
You're not
And
black.
I studied. That
You're
don't
not
mean
black. You're
anything.
Muskogee.
I didn't say I was
You have
Indian.
a tribal
I did.
ethnicity. You have a
I didn't
name. You're
say
not
that I was
black.
Indian. I didn't say that I was Indian.
You said you're Muskogee.
No,
No, I
I
think that's the
didn't.
other
I
one.
didn't say that one time.
Oh, whoa.
You got the
mean this
wrong
whole
I
guy,
didn't
right?
say that.
That was the corn-fed dude that said that.
Oh, is this Tyron?
No, this is not her. I'm
Oh, okay.
telling you. So
Oh,
hold
are
on,
you
hold
of
on.
African descent?
Native Americans are
Okay,
they
you're
indigenous
not
to?
of African
Hold on,
descent.
let me finish. Are Native Americans indigenous to Asia or America? Which one?
Okay, are
Because
you
you
of
can't
African
be
descent?
both. You can't be both at the
Are
same time.
you? Do you have African
Are Native
ancestry?
America? I'm asking you a question. Are
By the way,
Native Americans
on the back
indigenous
in
to
the,
America or Asia? Which one?
So, are Native Americans the same
You
as
can't be
American
native
Indians?
to both.
Wait. Let me clarify. Are Native Americans the same as American Indians?
Native Americans are the same as people that migrated from Siberia. So which
I asked
one
you a
are they
question.
from?
No, I asked you a
No,
question.
you answer my question first.
Right, because I'm clarifying the
I'm
fact
asking you a
because I've
question.
been taught by
I'm
Pretendians,
asking you one question.
other
I'm asking you
indigenous
one
black
question.
Indians.
Are
They say
Native
that
Americans
they're not.
from America? Are they from Siberia? Which one?
Are Native
They,
Americans from? Well, first of all, my understanding is there are 5 migrations in. The Algonquin being one of the oldest.
he asked you
Then
a
you have
simple
the
question, man.
Clovis and the
It's
Folsom.
already
And
it's
before you have
already
any of
did.
that, right? Wait. You have 5 migrations into the Americas, right? The
Yes.
first migration. No, people don't want to admit this, but Clyde Winters and brother
Can you make
David.
that answer pretty simple
Excuse me,
and to the
excuse
point,
me,
please?
excuse me. David Imhotep these are researchers. These are people that do primary research. Clyde Winters is also disciplined in many different science disciplines, and he covers this, and he's kind of in alignment with you guys. What they say, though, is that the first migration in was the migration of humans all over the world. That would be the Central African people known as the Mbetu or the Twa, known also as Binga. These short people migrated and populated the world. Those were the first people. Some say they may have gone across with boats, right? And then you have 5, either 4 or 5 other migrations in. I know about the Algonquin is one of the older ones.
Listen,
I
let me
know
ask
about
you
the
to come from
Clovis.
Siberia.
I
Now,
know
that's what he
about the
asked you.
Folsom migrations into the Americas, and the last I believe is like the Inuit and some of those groups. So those are the migrations in, and those are Asiatic people that went through the Bering Straits. The oldest one were the Black Twa people from Central Africa and East Central Africa. That's my understanding. So you may have darker skinned Africans, just like in Costa Rica, you have the Biri Biri. Or now my brother, who's a Costa Rican, you can let us know. Is the Biri Biri real? Are those really black people, or did they stage that?
Bribri. No, there again. There's 8 tribes in Costa Rica. You have the Atlantic side with the Bribri. Sharing with Panama, you have the Naglo Bugle.
What is their phenotype? The Biri Biri.
Their phenotypes. I'm an
Yep.
example of that. I'll turn on my camera. We are of dark skin.
Now, a lot of people call him a white Latino. That's what people.
Okay.
That's
All
what
right.
you guys call him.
So there are darker skin.
And I am
indigenous.
I'm a combination of Afro descendancy of slavery with Bribri.
Excellent.
So
We got a living bitty bitty. Now the point is not. Wait a minute. Let me finish. The point is not that there, in my opinion, there aren't very heavily melanated American Indians that were here before these other ones migrated in these other migrations. What I'm saying is that those people have a culture, a language, a spiritual system, all those things. And if you're from there, that's fine. But that's who you are. And if you know you're not of African descent, then you must know that you're of whatever tribe you're from. And if you're Muskogee or whatever your tribe, that's who you are. You're not Black American. Black is synonymous with Africa. You have a cultural name, a tribal name. You are Choctaw, you are Pequot, you're Iroquois. Whatever you are, that's what you are. You're not Black.
That's not
Because
true, sir.
you're not from Africa, so you must know that you are from.
That's
Is he
like trying to
claiming to
call
be?
people from Asia. They might be broken down into different nationalities and tribes, but you want to say that they're not Asian.
No, it's a continent, bro. It's a different thing.
Africa's a continent too. So how's
I
that a
know.
different thing?
You're saying that they're in a different place, though. You're saying people in Asia.
I didn't say that.
That's what you just said. You said
No, I
people
didn't.
in Asia that you want to
That's
break.
what you just said.
Oh my God, bro! I ain't doing this with you, man.
Yeah, because you can't.
You supposed to be claiming to be Indian too, huh?
Hey, man, I go where the evidence goes.
So is that yes or no?
That's yes.
Okay.
I tell you where the evidence is not. The evidence is not what
Okay, riddle me this.
You
If
don't
you
trust
have
evidence, bro.
native blood of any tribe of North America, why the hell are you calling yourself an Indian?
Let me
Have
ask
some
you this.
self-respect.
After we just saw what you look like, what do you call yourself?
I'm a Mesoamerican. I am from one of the tribes in Costa Rica.
Now, what is that?
Moreover, I share elements of languages with the Chibcha people that inhabited between northern Colombia, Panama, and what is today southern Costa Rica.
All right, to put it short, are you trying to say that you're an indigenous American?
I have already said it many times. I am a combination of Afro-Indigenous. My
That nigga
lineage is a
black.
combination of Afro descendancy with indigenous people here in this area.
All right, so combo means mixed.
Whatever term you want to use it, except don't use Eurocentric terms like mulatto or etc.
Hey, man, you the one speaking Spanish. That's where mulatto comes from.
Yeah, you know what is the etymology of the word mulatto?
Yeah.
What does
Mule.
Okay.
Mule.
No.
No.
Mule. Okay. Did you just say mule? That the etymology? Okay, you're correct. So why would you use a despictive word in that sense to refer to somebody of human beings? Why are you calling another human being a mule?
I guess because the mule is supposed to be a mixed type of creature. But then again, the Spaniards were mixed themselves anyway.
But
so
then you are accepting that, and you are openly like using the term Indian. You're using a term that dehumanizes the reality. Therefore, you're not respecting your ancestors.
Yeah, but
you're
black,
not respecting.
You can say the same about black or Negro.
Okay, so in that sense, why then are you and people like you categorizing and saying black Indians, for example, if you know that those categorizations are wrong?
That's the people. That's where people can better relate to the terms. Because if we start using other terms that's unique to a few, then other people can't relate to it.
Oh, isn't that just an excuse? Because then in that sense, you're saying, I maintain this categorizations that dehumanize and that are erroneous.
Okay, put it like this.
Because you want people just to understand you. Instead of correcting those errors and then showing the best way to approach that reality. So
Okay,
you're inconvenient.
Let's do this again, Ditso. So what do you call yourself, Ditso?
What I call myself, how I identify?
Yeah.
I like I said again, I am part of the greater Mesoamerican cultures. I am specifically born in.
That's too much, man. That's too much. See, that's what I'm saying. You just got you telling me
no.
with something
Okay,
identifiable.
hold on. How can you? And based on what? Tell me that is too much.
Yeah, because that doesn't say anything. That's I'm part this, I'm part that. What are you? What are you?
Bro, he already explained that though.
I'm not asking you. I'm not asking.
This is the problem. Okay,
guys, let me pass the mic to Aphrodite report. Go to Aphrodite.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I came across this conversation and I heard some of the people who are of the tribe of anything but African tribe. They've made statements that are incorrect. Since they just want to base it off of books, I'm going to base it off of reality and what I have seen and people I have met. The story about Alex Haley, it is a true story. You know, the
Bro, it
part
don't
that
matter.
let me finish. The part they sued him for was because of he described the whole of the ship, just like the of the African. That's the only part. Kunta Kinte was a real person. His father's name was Omar Kinte. I'm from. Hold on. I'm from the Gambia. I've been to where Kunta Kinte came from. Jufure. Hold on. Jufure. The name Kunta Kinte. This is a real name. People, even today, the Kinte people, they exist. Hold on. They exist. I have met George Haley, Alex Haley's brother. Okay, the story is real. He's from a place called Jufure, and you can go find the place in Gambia.
Let me interrupt. So, guys, this is me back in, I think, 2018. Personally met the family in Jupiter.
My name is
and I
Sean
went to
Harper.
the island. Hold on, this is me.
Yeah, I googled it. It's real. Jufure.
That's me. That's me with the family, with the actual family in Gambia.
Thank you.
That's me. But go ahead, Alfred Diamonds. Go ahead and continue.
Yeah, I was gonna come to that even to say, I remember you went to Gambia, so you've been to Jufure. So
Yeah, that's me. That's me. That's me with the family right there. with the
right,
city.
yeah, and
Those are not even actual relatives.
And that
Hold
picture
on,
is
hold on.
Kunta
Y'all
Kinte
are
right
I
there.
told you this shit. They
Hold
got
on,
big
hold
ass
on.
griot.
Hold on. And since you asked for the proof, even right there in Gambia, you can see a fort. You can look it up. It's called Fort Bullen. They built it to stop the slave ships that are crossing because that's the last point into America. The castles in Ghana on the coast, like all the, not all the Ghana, but there are several different castles, where they used to hold people in before they transport them. So denying slavery or saying Kunta Kinte did not exist, I mean, that's pathetic. If you want to
How's
claim
it
being
pathetic?
Indian, you can do that. But why do you want to erase, this person forever?
Gotcha.
That's just ridiculous.
Gotcha. Well, it's lies, Negro. Lies. I already told you who
Look,
fabricated
you are
it.
okay. You can't
He
prove
became the
anything.
false.
So what I'm saying is, you can't prove this. We've been there. We've met his relatives. Like, what the hell are you? What is
The
a lie
so-called
about this?
Did they show you
those
the
are lies.
genealogy?
For
Would y'all
one,
accept it if he did?
Look,
they took a bag from the Disney Corporation to
look.
make shit up.
So are you
Bro, why are we
saying
even talking
Kunta
about
Kinte
this?
did not exist?
Bruh, they literally paid a village drunkard to make
Oh,
up
Bro, y'all
fake
can't
Creole history.
y'all can't get this off
I already
topic,
gave
bro.
you
sir,
the
they do
person that
not
made up
drink.
the damn
Sir,
shit.
sir, they
This
do not
fucking red
drink in
herring shit is
Jufure.
actually working.
They even cross-reference and verified that shit is fake. They had researchers go over there to Senegal and question and
But it's
cross-reference
not in
people came to
Senegal.
Ohana and found out that Kunta Kinte was a fictional ass person.
Okay,
Well,
okay. Let
Diamonds
me
was
ask
And then
there.
on
you.
And
top of
yet you use
on
Healy
top
as a
of
source.
So let me ask
You
you.
use
Kunta
him as a
Kinte
source,
is
and now
actually a
you're
Choctaw name.
backtracking on it.
Bro, you
The
Hold
point
on,
quoted
being
hold
Alex
is that
on,
Haley as a source.
That's
I
a
don't know why you let him
Choctaw ass
pull you into
name,
this,
meaning
man.
And didn't
whistling.
hold
Alex
on,
Haley plagiarize the book he did right from
hold
the
on.
white guy?
Here's
And then
the thing.
hold on. And then you also lied again because he plagiarized the entire novel.
He did not
Harold
plagiarize the entire
Carmichael. Yes,
novel.
he
You
did.
don't.
He
What
did
is
not
happening
Yes,
here,
plagiarize.
that's why
No,
I
he
put
did.
two.
No, he did
That's
not.
why I put. Yes,
It was
I did. I put
intentional.
it in the back chat, Dinez. Stop running. It says
So
right there in fine print that he copied word for word out of the novel The
okay,
African by
let me
Harold
ask you.
Carmichael. So let's
So
not
let me
make no
ask you.
pseudo shit, Afrodamus.
Okay, let me ask you this. So there is like you guys claim that you are from here, right? You're natives, but somehow your population is way too small to be
Huh?
true. If you go to Gambia, I'm just telling you.
Or population way
Hold
too
on. When you
small.
go to Gambia, the name Kinte. The
Mhm.
name Kinte is very popular. People. This is a last
Shit
name.
off of a movie.
It's real. There are. I grew up knowing people whose name was Kunta. This is not. Why would they? You keep
But
referring to
Off of a
Senegal.
popularity of a movie. A lot of niggas name their children Tyrone after
Oh,
Tyrone Power
hold on,
Zorro.
hold
That
on.
doesn't prove anything of this
Hold on,
person's
hold
existence.
on. Do you think people in Gambia are like ghetto blacks who name their kids or after alcohols or what they see on TV.
Aren't you supposed to be
In
Fulani?
Africa, they call it caps patience, nigga. Wednesday.
So
what are you talking
how?
about, bro?
If they didn't see
Bro,
this
you're
on
not a
in
scholar.
TV, hold on. If this name, hold on, this name have existed for hundreds on hundreds of years. So why is that? And it's in that region.
That doesn't make any sense because
Hold
people
on,
name
hold on, hold on.
Hold on, let me.
I need to say something real quickly. The controversy on Alex Haley, which funnily enough Tyron used as a source, then backtracked, does
How did I
not.
backtrack?
Hold on, Tyron, stop interrupting. You backtracked on that, but the most important part on this sense is that the controversy in regards of Alex Haley's book does not erase all major other evidence in regards of the Atlantic slave trade. Therefore, what you're committing is a fallacy of conclusion and a red herring. So
the only evidence is what the white man says. You can't show them that.
Bro, you don't have evidence of nothing.
Again, you have not proved your academic background, nor has Tyron.
No, you have not proven yours.
Bro, you haven't proven anything.
So
All you do is just say that.
it's not all about. Excuse. Let me get this. Let me say this. Let me get this out. Let me say this. What's happening is they're trying to push the most of us out of Africa and into being Native American, to erase our Africanness to be Indian. That's what they're trying to do.
We're just trying
because
to go where
they're
the
saying
truth is.
many of them are saying that all of us are not from Africa, that we are American Indian. That's what they're saying. And they're not going to do that. They're not going to push us out of Africa. No, they're not going to do that. You just be Indian, do your Indian things, get out of the black conversations, and do your Indian things, and start your black Indian things, and do your thing. Learn how to shape shift. Learn deer medicine or bear medicine, and do your Indian thing.
Hold on. We are not going to part from xenophobic or pedagogist stances. We are going to discuss the reality. Yes, my problems with Alkin and Tyron is that they're both subjected to white nationalist mentalists.
No, that's what you are.
Ideas. That's what you're part of it. And we have a clear division.
Nonsense.
Again,
you guys just repeat what the white man said without evidence.
We just brought examples up. You haven't brought nothing.
No, you brought the same old BS.
It's in the back
The
chat.
same old what? You told me to bring up proof and evidence. I did that.
No, that's the same old BS. That's not proof.
The back chat has
BS, bro. You didn't even look
has more
proof
sources
is
from
what
me.
we can actually verify. That's
And
what proof
almost
you can
no
verify
sources
any
from
of this, bro. It literally.
Hold on. Can I speak for a moment?
Verifying where you got it from is that's not verification.
Go down
let
and
Dynas play the
find
video,
it.
guys. Let Dynas play the video. Let him see for himself.
We already know that, bro. They ain't gonna change their mind.
So this guy's going to deny. He's gonna deny what's in front of him, dude. You want to be Indian that bad? You want to be Indian that bad?
Hold on, Afro-Damus, you made up a pseudo-ass point saying that Ghana got a majority of niggas. Okay, China,
anybody that wants to be an Indian is a disrespect to the ancestors and to the history of this continent. Any idiot that calls himself an Indian is a disrespect to the Aboriginals and to the history of this continent. Anybody that guides themselves by the one-drop rule is a lost individual who has no fucking clue what they're saying. Both Alkin and Tyron have been dishonest and disingenuous in this conversation.
We don't want to hear your pseudo shit right now because
we don't want to hear yours. Your pseudo shit and your lies. We don't want to hear your shit.
Or shut up.
We don't want to hear your pretending bullshit.
Source up or shut up because we can go.
We don't want to hear your gringo pretending bullshit. We don't care about your false identity.
Kills the argument.
We care about the reality.
You haven't killed no argument.
I already killed your argument in so many ways. As well as Alkin.
We can go to Henry Campbell Black Law Dictionary, and it says what? Indian. American Indian is on the law books, fool. We don't care about no most.
Well, go and be Indian. Get out of the black conversation. Go be Indian.
And why haven't you fought to change a term that dehumanizes you?
That's how we know.
Why haven't you fought to change a term that dehumanizes you?
We know you're not Indian. That's why you can't be it. That's why you don't speak the language. That's why you don't practice the spiritual tradition.
From the country called India.
Bro, stop crying.
You don't practice the spiritual tradition. You don't speak the language. You don't practice any. You're not part of the nation. You're not doing none of that.
Yes, I do. but you don't practice
Okay. Well, then go
your
do
native
it.
language.
I'm not trying to say he can't be in your conversation. I'm not trying to kick him out. I'm just saying, what's the relevance of them speaking about Africa and African American stuff when they're not? They're Muskogee. They're
to bring up some
Tyron,
type
Choctaw
of
Paw.
proof or something.
Ditso said he's Native American, so why don't you badge him
I'm
out?
Native Central
He said he's
American.
mixed. Bro.
Okay.
Part
He knows
He knows
Tyron,
his
hold on.
conversation.
Quiet for a moment.
Look,
Tyron, could you speak in your language,
Why
in your
is the
native
Latino
language?
tether on your
Hold on.
panel?
Hold on,
Tyron, Tyron,
Tyron.
could you speak in your native so-called Indian language right now?
I mean, it says so-called, but he's supposed to be Indian.
He said so-called Indian because they don't call him.
Hold on, Tyrone. I got a good question for you.
Hold on. I asked the question to Tyron and Alkin.
No,
I
this
want
is
both
really-
to speak in their native language right
This
now
is
of their
Congo.
respective tribes. Right now, say something in
I just
in
did.
that
That's
language.
Congo.
Okay, all right, you ready? What up, dog? What up, dog?
No, that's English. That's an
Squanto.
European language. I'm referring.
These dudes are clowns, bro. I'm telling you.
All right, let me
Both of
pass
them
the mic
clowns
to
and liars.
They can't.
Tyron, you're not Indian, and Alkin, you're a liar.
They can't. Ditto. They can't. Let me pass the. Go ahead, Maximilian.
Let me.
No. Let me pass the mic to Maximilian. Go ahead, Maximilian.
Hold on,
Hey,
I
Donis.
said words in Muskogee Creek, clown.
All right. So, Donis, I'll just come in for a few minutes, man. I'm probably older than all y'all. I'm 53. Went to Jackson State. I'm from Mississippi. Malcolm X said, "What makes a black man so ashamed of being black, a Negro, when he's the original man on this earth? The worst thing you can ever do as a black man is deny your own identity. You were the first man to ever walk this earth. I got Native American in my family. I'm black, probably more than all y'all. I'm a Choctaw, 25%. I'm a black man. Because when the police see me go down the road, they see a Negro.
Yeah.
So when I went
Do you
to
have any
Jackson State,
African ancestry?
yes, 80%. I'm Nigerian,
Okay, all right.
Benin, Bissau, Togo. I did the DNA test. And most of these brothers, before you start telling me who you are, go take a DNA test. You might be surprised
Actually,
on who you are. And if you really want to know, what somebody was saying people can't be born in the 1800s. I'm 53. My mama was born in 1942. Her mother was born in the 1800s. We go back to the 1700s in Mississippi. Yes, we were slaves. Maybe you don't want to be a slave. Because your history was a slave don't mean you're a slave now. You don't blame the person who was enslaved. You blame the varmint who enslaved somebody. Because black people are peaceful people. So I don't. Don't put your burden of a white man kidnapping people and doing horrific things to people and make that our things that we need to carry. That's why we are blessed. We were the first people here, and we will be the last people here. Don't you ever in your life, as long as you got, let me finish. As long as you got black blood in your life, deny your own damn blackness as an African.
What is
black? That is the most problem.
So we're not denying our blackness.
Yeah,
we're
you
denying
are.
Africanness.
Exactly.
Black people are from
Where do you think
Africa.
it comes from?
Let me finish the question.
Black people are from
Y'all been
Africa.
talking. I ain't gonna be here long.
No.
I'm a little older. Have you ever taken a DNA test? That's the question.
Yes, I have.
Post
DNA test say?
the results.
Yes, I have.
Post the results.
I am. It says that I'm from Yadkin PD. I'm Gullah. I'm Muskogee Creek. I got Chinese in there. I got European in there. What do you?
Gola's not a
corn-fed
race.
Ethnic group like
Gola's
that.
not an ethnic group. Gola's not an ethnic group.
Yadkin PD.
No.
Gola's not an ethnic group.
PDs.
Which lets us know you're lying.
PDs are Muskogee.
Now you're lying.
Yes,
Gola's
they
not an
are.
ethnic group.
Gola's not an ethnic group.
No, Gullah is an ethnic group.
Gullah is an American group.
Gola's not.
It's going to
Gullah
live as
Geechee-
American Indian or Native
Gullah
American.
Geechee are American Indians. They got
So you have no African in your.
Waccamaw, Ute, Yamasee.
So you have no
Wally,
African in your DNA, right?
What are you talking about?
Hey, Dan.
I just said in English. I said you have no
Hey.
African. When you got your DNA back, it says that you have no African in it.
Didn't give me
Is
any
that
African.
correct?
Hey,
No
Dan.
such thing as African
Dan.
DNA.
Clown.
Hey, I want to ask everybody a
Well,
question. What
we
does
know.
that church-
He
what
knows
does
what
that
I
church
mean.
say?
It didn't
Right.
get, what it didn't give me was African relatives.
No, I'm asking you. a
Okay,
question,
no.
man. What does the
You
church
have
say?
no ethnic groups from Africa in your
Hold on.
DNA.
Shaq, can you 1 moment?
That don't
Tyron,
mean
I
nothing. You a
put
black
two.
man.
Hold on. I put 2 phrases in Muskogee language for Tyron. Could you please pronounce what those phrases sound in your
Already gave
language?
you
And
Indigenous
can you
American
please
language. I
translate
want
what
you to
those
provide.
mean?
I want you to provide. Why are you
Again.
Okay.
Why are you in
There it
a
is.
black
Muskogee
conversation?
language.
Excuse
Go
me,
ahead
excuse me.
and say it.
Excuse
I got
me.
a question for you, Disco.
I'll speak
Why
to
are you
so
here in Black
Joey,
American
hey,
language?
Stop, sir.
The question is not for you, Max.
Hey,
the question is
what
for
you-
Tyron.
what I'm
Right,
asking
because
is,
Max, you're a real African American with your Native American ancestry. You
Joey,
acknowledge.
I don't
So
know
you're
you,
the
Max.
real, you're the real
He's
deal.
Caribbean.
He's
But
not the real deal.
right now, the challenge.
Hey, Maximilian, you're one with me because
Max,
my mother's
I would
original from
appreciate it.
Mississippi.
Hold
So.
on, hold on. Hey, Tyron, show me your pull up your DNA test.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask him one question.
Max.
Hey, Dennis, let me ask him this question.
I'm not showing you none of my information.
Joey
Of course you're not. Go ahead.
No, I recited it. I can recite it.
No, show us your results.
I can recite.
Any Native American knows what I just asked him. Joey Skiwa Hukala.
In the United States.
Joey
What did you ask
Skiwa
us?
Hukala.
Because I could say in my language,
Wait. He asked the question in the Native American.
Yeah.
Let him respond.
I'm asking you what tribe are you from, brother? You should have known that. All Native Americans.
I thought you just said you were African,
All
brother.
Americans don't know what the fuck that said.
My point is, I'm Native American. I'm a black man. My grandmother's Native American.
But you also said African earlier, though.
I grew up on I'm a black man. I get to choose who I am. I
That's
grew up
what
on
we
the
doing.
reservation.
Humor.
But I damn sure ain't gonna call myself. I'm more Native American than any damn body. But I'm only
How's that?
25%.
Well,
I'm 75% black, brother.
You know my mother is
You
originally
African.
from Mississippi.
Max,
You know
Max,
that?
you're
75% from one of them African tribes, or a couple of them, or a bunch of them.
Hold on.
Right.
Max,
We gotta say African. We can't be afraid to
Hold
say
on,
the
Sean.
tribe or African.
Hold on. Max, you are like me, but for the North American section, I'm from the Central American section. We're two Afro-Indigenous people with the combination of Afro-descendancy of slavery and indigenous. You and I are alike, just in different regions of this continent. But Tyron, again, you're not gonna run away from this. I put 2 phrases. I put 2 phrases in Muskogee language. Could you please pronounce them again? I put that there. I made sure that it is correct. The correct Muskogee. I made sure that yes, I do not speak Muskogee, like you do not speak the Chief Jet language of my people. However, I put those there. You say you speak your language. Could you please?
I don't know what you're talking about, bro.
So you are not a proud member of the Muskogee. You have not done the homework of learning the language before the Europeans arrived here.
So it has to go by your criteria, huh?
By your pseudo criteria.
So both of you are pseudos who are pretending and saying, "Oh, I'm." Instead, Max showed us he speaks his language, and Max shows us, yeah. Max said something I don't understand because I do not.
If anybody's Native American knew what I just said.
Look, I got a question for Tyrone.
A Native American of the United States or the North section, because somebody from Central wouldn't understand you.
I'm a talk.
Hold on, can I ask my question, please?
See how Tyron runs?
Man,
go ahead, Alfred Thomas. Go ahead,
all right, for Tyrone and Al Capone. When you guys were in the penitentiary, did they used to unwrap your cell to celebrate the Native American powwow?
Actually, my family members do go to powwows.
Okay, so I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Tyrone. Because see, I used to be a CEO many years back. So the powwows, the blacks are not part
what
of
kind
it.
of bushmeat are you?
The blacks were not part of it, and when a race riot happened, the natives and the Mexicans, they ride with the white boys against you.
Yeah, why is that? That's the question you should answer.
Yeah, why is that? I've seen that with my own eyes.
In Mongol Native Americans, they always ride with the white man.
You weren't allowed because in prison every 6 months you can change your religion. You know, you
I
send
don't
the
know
kite
anything
in.
about prison.
But you guys could not.
You
You guys could not. Blacks could
at a
not be part of the native group. How
That
come?
sounds like something you would know at a BC, but we're not going to talk about prison babble here because
No, when you guys were you're doing prison bubble, that's why I thought you were there.
bushmeat talk. I don't know anything about prison politics.
You sound like you were there.
I know you know prison politics at a BC. Don't bring that shit up here.
Hey, my question,
again,
brother.
Prison politics is not real. Hold on, what, Mike? So, Tyron, out of good faith, I pulled up my DNA results from Ancestry.com. Can you pull up yours?
That's a strange mixture you got there.
No, that's actually normal. That's actually normal. That's what
that ain't normal, man.
That's what mine looks like.
South America, Germany.
Yeah,
UK.
that's what it looks like. If you ever do your DNA test,
so it
you'd
says
be surprised how many white people take out of your tree.
So, Tyron, pull
So it says
yours.
says that Albert Hollis is not from the United States. He's a whole tether from Africa, Europe, and South America. That's what
So,
you're saying.
Tyron, you're not going to translate the Muskogee phrases I put there. So you're
No,
pretending
you're gonna-
Indian.
but you're
You're a
gonna
false
do-
Indian.
but you're gonna
You're
do
not
that
Indian. You're not aboriginal from here. You're a
Huh?
descendant of slavery that were brought here.
Posting up
You and
random
Alkin are both in that
online.
sense.
Posting
So,
up random
for example,
that
in
are
the language of my people, when we meet each other, we have two ways: an informal way of saying hello, which is is, or a formal way of saying is in the language of the Bribri, which is ewa. If we are asking, how do you wake up? We say ispeshkena. And the answer is jeskena we. Or we can ask the person, how are you? Isbetso.
Now let me ask you this. Now, would you go around? Do you ask Black Americans how to speak certain African languages, or you just go to other groups? Because obviously, the story is that we got knocked over the head. We've forgotten our language. We've forgotten our culture, our moral ways, our four ways.
Why are you only speaking English, which is a European language that was imposed to your ancestors? Why haven't you connected to other languages? That's
an invalid question.
Hey, what's my young man's name? Tyrone.
No, yours is an invalid
Tyrone.
question.
Hey, let me speak.
I can give you a valid answer.
Tyrone,
if you want to hear
it.
it.
Hey, Tyrone. Hey, don't argue. Tyrone, you're quoting Malcolm X. He said, by the way we act, we've lost our religion, we lost our language, we lost our sense of manship, and by the way some of us act, we lost our damn minds. And that's what y'all acting like. You need to go back and listen to Malcolm X's speech when he talks about a man denying his own
I don't know anything about his own culture.
That's a travesty. That's a travesty.
Khalid Muhammad actually said that, though.
Exactly.
No, Malcolm X. Khalid Muhammad was way younger than Malcolm X.
Malcolm X didn't even know his own culture.
What are you talking about?
Body bag.
That was
Khalid Muhammad is a child to Malcolm X. What are you talking about?
But he said that, though. That's
no, Malcolm X said that, brother. Go back and look at Malcolm X.
Khalid
Muhammad came out. He came. That's damn near son.
He did, but that
he got that from Malcolm. It's called a Nation of Islam, brother.
Yeah, and that's what Khalid Muhammad was in.
He's way younger than Malcolm X, brother.
Okay, so who came first? Who came first? Khalid Muhammad.
Malcolm X.
You gotta listen to the question. Who came first? Khalid Muhammad or Public Enemy?
Died not long ago.
Listen. Who came first? Khalid Muhammad or Public Enemy?
What are you talking about, bro? Malcolm X came first.
It's a simple question. Khalid Muhammad or Public Enemy? Which one came first?
Have you ever heard of Nation of Islam? Do some research, bro.
You talking to a Nation of Islam expert.
You cannot be saying that you thought Khalid Muhammad came before Malcolm X. You call yourself a Muslim.
See, I didn't say that. That's what you said.
You don't know nothing about Islam, brother. Or you didn't let some foolishness like that come out of your mouth.
Actually, he does.
My friend, that quote was from Khalid Muhammad.
Khalid Muhammad is way up.
Listen, since you know Nation of Islam,
I know a lot about the Nation of
Islam. Islam is a foreign religion to anybody who would be an Indian here. If you practice Islam, you are part
of something else, man. I'm trying. You hear me, people talking, you're gonna be disrespectful.
You know good well Khalid Muhammad just died. Khalid Muhammad just died 5 years ago, bro. What are you talking about?
No, he died in 2001. But
Malcolm X was born in the 40s.
But hold up, Maximilian. I'm gonna say this.
The lies of outgoing and
Hold on. Let's calm down, Maximilian.
Louis Farrakhan
these guys don't have no self-control.
Louis Farrakhan served under Malcolm X. Do you know that?
I know that. But listen, here's what I'm trying to say.
What are you talking
if
about?
you can listen, then you can understand what I'm talking about. So you have your idea. So since you know Nation of Islam, you could take what I said, or you could let it alone.
Well, I can leave that alone because you have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
Anybody from the Nation of Islam, please chime in. Please chime in. This guy has no idea what you're talking about.
Matter of fact, I want somebody to chime in now.
Is it true? Is it true?
Jesus Christ.
Hold on. Is it true that John Henry Clark body bagged Malcolm X on his own African position and also the faggot, what's his name? Bayard Rustin beat him up on his own African claims?
Well, first thing, brother, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a Muslim, but I grew up. I know enough of them. We don't call people faggots.
But why you acting like you know?
We don't use the word. We don't use the word nigger. That's something we don't do.
Why do you?
We don't say faggot. We don't.
A
Muslim, but I grew up in a family around Muslims. Muslims don't talk in a derogatory way. We don't use the word faggot, nigger, curse words.
Yes, they do.
Man, trust me, they do.
Oh, yes, they do. Khalid Muhammad. He went in on them small hats.
I said from the Nation of Islam.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Christianity, Islam, Judaism are foreign religion to us. In every sense of the word. If you are calling yourself an Aboriginal individual. Again, Tyron. Tyron, you have not been able to speak your Cree language. You are a liar. You are pretending. At least Max was able to speak.
I want somebody from the Nation of Islam to chime in.
Again,
the Nation of Islam trying to get away from the
Answer my question. You hit me with this Malcolm X shit. Did John Henry Clark and Bayard Rustin beat his ass up on this African stuff?
Who you talking about? No? Beat who up?
Malcolm X. Did John Henry Clark and Bayard Rustin beat up Malcolm X on his own self-proclaimed Pan-Africanism?
Why aren't you proud of your
answer
African
the question? Did they not beat him up?
Are you talking about a debate?
Are you going to show your
I don't know what you mean when you say beat him up.
In a debate.
What say they debated? I don't know what you mean by that. Beat him up. Beat him up means like
John Henry Clark in a debate with Mary Lefkowitz about not out of Africa. He mentioned that he beat up Malcolm X back in the day about his own West African knowledge. Also, Bayard Rustin, there's a YouTube clip online of him debating Bayard Rustin about his own African ideology.
Now you want me to answer that question?
Hold on.
Africa.
You want me to answer that
Max,
question?
1 moment.
The person who wins the debate comes from the perspective of the listener. We all know that. If you ever took debate, it depends on if a Republican is debating something or a Democrat is debating something. I don't think everybody ever beat Malcolm X in the debate. I don't personally believe they did.
Really?
But if you don't like Malcolm X, you think
I didn't say I like him. I said that he got beat up on his own African.
Tyron, what I really want to stick to, Max, give me a moment. What I really want to stick on this conversation is
just said
the pretending again, Tyron.
Let Ditso talk. Go ahead, Ditso.
Again, Tyron, all I'm interested in this conversation is A, for you to speak Cree Muskie language, B, to have a little bit.
Did you not hear me say La Veste? Did you not hear me?
Again, I know you're a gringo xenophobic and you have racist problems and you have
xenophobic, bro. You're a whole white man on this panel. You're not even black,
you're more white than I am. Look at you. Look at you. You have more European than I could ever have.
What you talking about?
No. You are tethered to this continent.
Shut your camera on. Are
you are tethered to this continent. You're pretending again.
Are you a Negro?
Tyrone, you said you were Chinese.
Tyrone, you on here?
You are more white than I am.
Wait a minute, Tyrone, you on here denying your own damn identity, and you gonna tell somebody else about their identity.
Why are you? Tyron, why are you proud?
You denying your own black identity. You get no way, man.
I can control Tyron. Give me a moment.
Hold on. Let Ditso go. Ditso. Then we got to close out.
Tyron, why aren't you proud of your African descendancy of slavery heritage that you evidently have? You have African descendancy slavery all written all over your face, but you're more white than I am. and then you want to pretend then
put your camera on, bro.
Hold on, Tyron.
Then
You want to pretend. Then you want to
you.
pretend again, Tyron.
Put
You
your
want to
camera
pretend.
on,
You
Gitso.
want. See,
Look
this
at
is
this
the problem.
melon. Look at this
You're
melon.
acting.
Look at
You
this
only
radiant
are
melon.
again. You're only acting up on your emotions. You lied about your position of
Look at
being
this radiant
or
melon
having
right here.
heritage
Put your
of
camera on, Gitso.
nativeness in the north
Cut it
section.
off,
Again,
bro. You call me
Tyron,
gringo, huh?
breathe.
Is a
breathe.
gringo this skin
Stop
complex?
being so emotional. You have I don't know.
Look at this
You know what
radiant
andropause
Look at
is?
this
Is
beautiful
that
melanin.
andropause is the
how you
menopause
calling
of
this
men.
man a gringo when you acting like a gringo? You denying your own blackness, bro.
You're denying your own blackness.
Ow.
You're
We're
lying.
not denying blackness. We're denying Africanness, not
calling
blackness.
that-
So
That is
again,
what do you think the
You're
difference is,
denying
bro?
your heritage
So it has
of
been-
African American slaves.
everybody want to ask go to Africa. Has Latinos
Again,
went to Africa?
again, Tyron.
Find the Latinos
Oh,
going to
many of
Africa.
us have returned. I personally haven't. I've stayed here in the Western Hemisphere, learning the history and the reality of it. We have not had the need of traveling to Africa.
So
But
why
anyhow, Tyron, have you gone to Africa? Have you gone to Africa?
I ain't never
You
seen a
ain't
Latino
never
say he's
Tyron.
not a Latino.
Okay,
I've never
Max,
seen a Latino
could
say
you-
I'm not a
could you-
Latino.
Could you just give me a moment?
I saw one other
Prince,
night on the video.
could
I've
you
never seen
silence? Could you mute Tyron for 1 second because he lost all decorum? We saw him entering here saying, "Please let me talk."
Yep, and you kept
and do not
now over me because you're
again.
not out
You
there,
are not
bro.
controlling. See,
You're
Tyron.
Hold on, Tyron. Can you show your DNA test, sir?
Yeah, we need to see
Show
that.
your DNA test.
Show your DNA
Show
test.
that
I'll
you can
tell you
speak.
it. I'll tell you
Again,
it.
No,
show
show it.
that.
Show your DNA
Show
test.
your
Show
DNA
you
test.
I'll
Show
tell
that you
How
can
about
speak
you pull up my
free.
links?
Stop being
How
so
about you pull up my
dishonest
sources?
and stop being so much
You've
in your
been trying
feelings,
to evade
gringo.
my sources all
Gringuito,
night,
shut
man.
up for a moment, gringo. Shut up for a moment, gringo.
Gringo, I'm on
Gringo,
Gringo too.
shut up for a moment.
I know a Negro when I see one, an African Negro at that.
I am rojo. I am
know
red.
Ni
You
siquiera
are
tratas de hablar
pale, bro.
español. Ni siquiera tratas de hablar
I am
español porque
rojo.
no se te enreda la lengua.
That's me. Africans don't have that.
No, tú eres más blanco que la harina, weón. Tú eres, you're more white than powder. You know, you're more white than the powder that
Latinos going to Africa, home.
Again, Tyron.
Show your
See,
DNA,
the reason
bro.
you can't shut up. You are a charlatan. You're a liar. You are a charlatan and a
Why are
liar.
you always
You are a charlatan and a liar, Tyron. You are pretending. You are rejecting your Africanness.
Okay, we got that part.
I'm trying to tell Black Americans go
we need
somewhere.
to see your DNA, bro. We need to see your DNA.
Show your DNA.
I told you what I am.
Read.
Jack.
You're lying.
I know what you're
You're a
talking
white
about.
man. You're a white
No,
man.
stop. Hey, stop for a minute, brother. I'll let young my Latino brother. Hey, I see a black man telling me he ain't black, so I need to see your DNA.
Yes,
I know a Negro
you
when
can
I
be
see
black.
You're not.
You can be
You're
not
denying it.
black.
You're denying your African descendancy of slavery. You are a
Your Latino
African descendancy of
Why
slavery.
Latinos
Your
going back
blackness
to Africa?
again, Tyron.
Fidel
See,
Castro.
I have a serious question.
Follow Fidel Castro.
Prince, can you put him on the back just 2 minutes so we can put an idea across? He's a liar. He's a charlatan. He's a
Why
gringo.
haven't you been to Africa? You said you.
Why
only
haven't you been to Africa?
No, why haven't you?
Why haven't you?
Why
Why are you
somewhere that
rejecting
you
your
ain't
own
going?
descendancy?
Why
Why are you rejecting
always
your own
these
history?
Caribbean and Latino tell
Why
us
are you being a
supposed to go
pretendian
somewhere, but they the
native?
ones trying to come up
Why
here
are you
flee
trying
and
to cosplay as a
mainland
native and you don't even
Explain
speak
this
the
shit.
native language?
You got ice. You got ice. You got
Again,
ice, baby. Come
Tyron,
your ass up
Tyron,
off the reservation.
why don't you
Johnny, let somebody else
show
talk.
us your
Let somebody
You
DNA?
got ice, baby.
Guys, we got to close out.
Stop
Everyone,
playing.
thanks so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. That is some research for who.
Tyron is a liar. Tyron is a gringo.